Hey everybody, how's it going today? In the fitness world, there are many different exercises for you to choose from. I've been working out for probably over 8 years now, and I'm still finding new exercises that I never even heard of before. And especially for beginners, it can be hard to figure out which exercises you should prioritize and include in your routine. That's why in this video, I'm going to be going over 5 fundamental movement patterns to help you build a solid foundation for your strength and your fitness. So the 5 basic fundamental movement patterns are squat, hip hinge, overhead press, pushing and pulling. Now, this is not necessarily an exhaustive list. There are a few different movements you could include as being fundamental movements. For the purposes of this video, I'm only going to be going over these 5 since they're the most fundamental, distinct, and agreed upon fundamental movement patterns, and they're going to be the most foundational for your strength. I'll probably go over some of the other movement patterns in future videos. Any kind of squatting movement is going to use your quads, a little bit of your hamstrings, your glutes, and your calves a little bit as well. Hip hinges are mostly going to use your hamstrings and your glutes. They're also going to work most of your posterior chain. Pushing movements are going to work your chest and your triceps and the front of your shoulders. Pulling movements are going to work your middle back, your lats, and your biceps, and somewhat of your forearms as well, your rear delts. And pressing movements are going to work your shoulders and your upper back and your triceps as well. So basically, like I said earlier, you want to think of these as like the foundation for your strength. Just like with any other skill, the basics and fundamentals are going to be the most important things for you to practice, especially as a beginner, but even as you advance and become more proficient, you still need to practice and train the basics and the fundamentals. Some people, maybe you don't like to do every movement, or there's some movements that don't feel as good as others. And sometimes fixing that is as simple as finding the exercise that you either like or can tolerate doing. There's lots of different variations on each movement you can do, and then building your strength up in that exercise to the point that you can do the movement more comfortably. And after you've built up your foundation and are including and training all these fundamental movement patterns, then you can start adding more sport-specific or goal-specific movements and exercises. So with each movement pattern, there are a lot of different exercises and variations for you to choose from. So I'm going to go over a few of them for each movement pattern real quick. So for squats, body weight squats, back squats, Zercher squats, front squats, split squats, goblet squats, oh, there's a chipmunk over there. hip hinges, deadlifts, stiff leg deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, bodyweight glute bridges, weighted glute bridges or hip thrusts, kettlebell swings, pushing, push-ups, any push-up variations, barbell bench press or floor press if you don't have a bench. Dumbbell bench press or floor press. You could even use kettlebells if you want. For pulling, pull-ups, chin-ups, barbell rows, any single arm row variations. Finally, for overhead press, push press, behind the neck press, dumbbell overhead press, and you can do those movements with a kettlebell as well. So altogether, these movements hit all the major muscles in your body, which means including all of them will be good for your muscle growth if that's a goal for you. If your goal is to increase your strength, they're also going to help with that. Or if you are trying to lose weight, trying to lose body fat, they're also going to be beneficial for you to prevent muscle loss during your weight loss. And if you're someone who cares about functionality in your exercise routines and choosing functional movement patterns, all of these 5 movements will be functional. Some are maybe more useful in your day-to-day life than others, but they will all be helpful nonetheless. Obviously, for squats and hip hinges, these are going to be super useful for anytime you need to bend over to pick something up or squat down to pick something up off the ground. squatting or bending over to open up low shelves or drawers. Squatting can also be a good resting position once you get used to it. Pushing and pulling every day, you have to push or pull doors open, unless you have automatic doors, I guess. But pushing and pulling doors, pulling objects up off the ground, pushing an object like maybe a grocery cart or something, or if you're a grappler, especially like maybe you do sumo wrestling or something, pushing another person. Obviously don't push random people. And overhead pressing is useful for if you have to put something up on a high shelf or take something off of a high shelf or a high area. The upper body stability that overhead pressing and pushing movements provides and develops is something that will be very useful even if you don't necessarily notice it all the time. Quick little story, but I remember as a kid, one of my elementary school teachers, I don't remember which one, but one of them blew out their shoulder trying to pick something up off of a high shelf. And I don't know why I remember that, but that always stuck with me. And obviously training overhead pressing and strengthening your shoulders and being more stable in that overhead position could help you prevent incidents like that happening. If you're someone who trains to reduce your chance of injury and be more stable in your day-to-day life, you want to improve your strength and stability in as many different ways as you can. And you don't want to neglect pushing and overhead pressing. Even though I know online a lot of people give overhead pressing and even just chest pressing movements a hard time because they're not as obviously useful as something like a squat or a hip hinge movement. But if you want to be as strong, as healthy, and move the best that you can, you definitely don't want to neglect these movements. So to recap, guys, we just went over 5 fundamental movement patterns today: squat, hip hinge, push, pull, and overhead press. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you found it useful and informative. Remember to include all of these movement patterns in your exercise routine. Really build up a good foundation for your strength and for your overall fitness and whatever athletic goals you may have. Remember to like and subscribe. Train hard, try your best, have fun with your training, and have a good day. Goodbye. I've got to get out of here before these chipmunks eat me.